right. Hi everyone, my name is Sonja, and I have to say, I too I'm past humble at this point. Honestly, I'm in awe. I'm in awe that you all are here. I'm in awe of what I've heard. I don't know what Screamo is, but I'm going home to look it up because it's like literally, I was trying not to like take out my phone and look up Screamo. And I'm thinking as I'm sitting here listening to people, what do I have to contribute to this? Right? Like what could I possibly say at this point that's going to add to this? And all there is left is for me to tell you who I am and what I do and why I do it. And that all starts when I was a kid. Because believe it or not, all old people were kids once. And I am old, and I own that with courage. And when I was young, I lived in that world without the technology and without that stuff. Our phones were connected to the walls, and we walked uphill to school both ways in the snow and whatever. But what we did have that was similar is that we had perceptions. We had a way that we looked at the world. We had a way that we looked at ourselves, and we had a way that we looked at each other. And I'm going to tell you about the way that I looked at the world. I would say I was probably 5 years old the first time that I compared the way I felt to the way you looked. I felt inadequate. I felt alone. I felt scared. And you looked good. Everybody had the cool clothes. I had the same clothes, but they looked cool on you. You were skinny and blonde. I was skinny and blonde, but I didn't look at it like in my own head. It was all about the way I saw myself. And what I did with that, what I did as a youth, what I did growing up, is I used those thoughts to separate myself from everyone. And I took those 5 things that we just heard about, and I sought out the negative ways to fill those gaps. I created some new experiences for myself. I'm really glad Facebook wasn't around to capture them, but I did create those experiences for myself. I did seek attention. I did a lot of that, and I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I did a lot of that through alcohol and drugs. And I'm going to talk about that here because I was in 8th grade when it started. I was in 8th grade. I was at that point in my life. And I don't think peer pressure is any different then than it is now. I think peer pressure then was a lot about me wanting to fit, me wanting to feel included, me wanting to feel like you felt. No one said to me, if you don't do blah, 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 then you're a blah, blah, blah. That's not what it was. It was my feeling that if I don't fit in, if I don't do what you do, then I'm not going to be important, I'm not going to be valued, I'm not going to be seen. And my biggest fear when I was a kid, first and foremost, was to not be seen. So that's how I went through my life. Well, not my life. That's how I went through my teen years. I went through it that way. And then I had a shift, and that's kind of what I want to focus on, because the shift in my perspective is what has made me who I am today. And I made that shift a lot like Camp Putnam. I found working with kids that lived their lives a lot like I had lived my life. I found work working in, it is called Resiliency. 40 Assets of Resilient Youth. I learned how to look people in the eye. I learned how to look kids in the eye. I learned how to know people's names, how to say hello. And I found that those things, those small steps that I made when I was 18 and 19 years old, those small steps that I made to make connections with kids that were having the same struggles that I was having, that those connections were making a difference in their life. So I built on it. Shifting my perspective, I'll tell you a story. My father is sick right now. He's been sick for about a month, and he needs a lot. And I'm an only child. Like, I can't call my sister and say, yo, can you go pick up cookies for Dad? Because I don't feel like it today. It's on me, right? So I started to feel burdened. I started feeling burdened. I started feeling weighed down. The other day, he needed me to pick up something, a shirt maybe, from his house before I go to school full time. So before I went to school, I had to go pick up this shirt. And I woke up and thought, man, I don't want to do it. He can go get his own shirt. Get out of the hospital. Go get your own shirt. Call a cab. The cab will go pick up your shirt and drop your shirt off. I don't want to do it. And then I stopped, and I shifted my perspective. And I thought, what an honor. What an honor to be someone that can be relied on. What an honor to be someone that someone is not afraid to call and say, I need help. What a gift it is to be able to give that help. And then suddenly, with that little shift, and it took about 4 seconds, and my entire day changed. As I got up, and I got my dog dressed, no comments. I got my dog dressed, and we went, and we got Grampy's shirt, and we went to the hospital, and I brought the dog in the hospital and caused all kinds of chaos. But I brought the shirt, and I brought it with a smile on my face. And I'll tell you what happened from that. I smiled at him. When I smiled at him, he smiled at his nurse. And when he smiled at his nurse didn't get a resentment because the old guy was being crabby. And it made a difference in every single person who was affected by me dropping off that shirt that morning with an attitude of gratitude. Just an attitude of gratitude. Just looking at the one thing that I can be grateful for, being of service to people. I always used to think, I don't want to be the one to do that. What do I have to do it? Why do I have to do the dishes? Yeah, you go ahead, Mom, cook 40 hours a week, make dinner. Well, make dinner. My mother didn't make dinner, really, but she made macaroni and cheese a lot. But what a gift to be able to do the dishes and take one thing to make her life a little bit better. Just that one thing. So I started deciding, probably in my mid-20s, that I was going to start living my life by a set of principles. My principles are exactly those two things, gratitude and service. And every day when I wake up and I look for a way to be of service to others, this was an opportunity to be of service. I don't know what I can I know that I can tell you that every choice that I made that was based in me, it was based in my selfishness, it was based in my self-centeredness, it was based in what I could get from you, the recognition that I was going to, if I did this, then I was going to get that. Instead, if I do this, maybe you'll feel that. Maybe if I do this for you, you'll feel better. Maybe if I pick up that shirt, you'll be warmer. Maybe if I show up, it'll make your day just a little bit brighter. And those are the things that I started to do. And as I started doing those, I started realizing how much I just have to be grateful for. Now, I'll tell you, when I started this journey in changing my perception, I also started a photography company, which I call Perspectives. And I started to look for the things in the world to be grateful for. And I can tell you that I could challenge myself and all of you. Find 5 things a day. Don't repeat them. Find 5 things a day that are unique and different that you can be grateful for. There's 10 right here. I have 10 fingers. Every single one of them has a value. I use every single one of them every day. I take every single one of them for granted. So I have the choice to think about the Band-Aid on my finger or the fact that I have a finger. I cut myself yesterday, and it hurts. But I have a finger, and there are people without them. So I guess that my point is that when I stopped comparing who I am with what you look like, when I stopped comparing how I felt with how you act, and I started seeing what I have and what that means I can offer, then everything about my life changed. And because everything in my life changed, the lives of the people around me changed. And because of that, they had an opportunity to change the lives of the people around them. So when I want to be the change that I see in the world, for me, I start with, how can I be of service to you? And thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.